How do I want to do this? I guess just start talking. That's what you normally do. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vania MicKelle. Thank you so much for being with me today. Today's a little unorthodox of a video. I want to recap the fragrance event I did and talk about where my head is at, and also some potential future plans that I have for the next couple of months. A little unorthodox, but it's just been on my mind, so I want to do that. Because I love y'all and I know y'all rock with me, y'all hold it down, and y'all are very, very supportive and encouraging, way more than you need to be. And so I want to just talk to y'all a little bit. I should have taken notes so I can get all my thoughts out, but then it wouldn't be chaotic. So yeah. So the first thing, if you haven't seen it, I did a whole vlog, a chaotic vlog documenting my preparation for the fragrance event, and then I did film while I did my little presentation. And I have a lot of thoughts. Number one, and I continue to say this because it's a real thing, I'm proud of myself that I had an idea and then I started it and I finished it. And I don't know, I think because there have been a couple things that I have done and finished, I think it may seem like I'm more productive than I actually am. And I'm really not. I still start and stop things all the time to this day. I still quit things all the time. It is one of my strongest it's one of the things I'm very good at. So that is why I continue to give myself props, because it takes a lot to start. Not only to start, but to complete it. Even when it's not up to what your standards are or what you really want. To continue the course, even being discouraged and distracted, to stay the course and finish is more than a notion. It's easier said than done, and I continue to celebrate myself because I know what an accomplishment and I know how big of a deal it is. I just understand that not only just for me, but just in general, to start something and finish, to go from an idea, from the conception of an idea to actual research and then making it happen and making the phone calls and doing the work. I just continue to pat myself on the back because it's not easy. It's not, it don't matter what it is. And that's why when I see somebody doing something, I'm always like, good job. You started, you finished. If I can say something encouraging I do it, because I understand it's scary to even say that you're going to do something, to launch something, to do anything. It is scary. It's scary. It's nerve-wracking. So when people do things or start and finish anything, I'd be like, kudos to you. Because I understand. And so even though I'm hard on myself about certain things, I always circle back to the fact that I had an idea, I started it, and I finished it. So I just have to, okay, because I don't have that in no other aspect of my life. I still be quitting stuff, okay? The other thing is, and the most important thing is, I'm happy because the event was actually helpful. I've been getting phone calls, I've been getting texts, I've been getting follow-ups, and how the information and the things have been helping them in their daily life. Not daily life, but the information didn't fall on deaf ears. The information was helpful. I'll put some of their feedback at the end of the video. I'll put because they all filled out the little jot form thing, so I'll put their feedback in so you can see it. But also just talking to them in real life, and it was genuinely helpful information, and that is such a big deal to me. Even when I was creating the presentation, I was like, man, there's a lot of information. I'm like, it might be too long, it might be too boring. And everybody was like, no. They were like, it wasn't too long, it wasn't too boring. This was a perfect amount of information. There's one or two things that I forgot to mention or didn't include. But for the most part, that's the gist of Fragrance 101, Intro to Fragrance, Learning How to Smell Good, whatever. That is the gist of it. And I just am so happy that it did not fall on deaf ears. It was helpful. And they've been able to take the things that I mentioned and talked about, and like, they've seen it in action in real life. Or like when, like, especially me talking about like how sometimes you can't smell it on yourself, but you'll get a compliment. And somebody called me, they was like, girl, I seen this girl, we was talking about whatever. I told her she smelled good. And she's like, I don't even smell it. I said, see, like, it was just like, there is clearly it was very helpful to people. And I know that that's one of like the things that I am supposed to do in the world, is help people. And the fact that I created something or did something that was helpful is just really like, it puts a little extra battery in my back to keep going, because I like that. I like that vein that feels like, yeah, like, I don't know how to explain it other than I like it. Like, if I had a slogan or a what on what when you own Housewives and you have like a tagline, and I knew this from day one, my tagline, whatever, would be to teach ordinary people extraordinary things. And that's my thought process, because I don't like when things feel like you can't do them or they're unattainable, because you just simply don't know, or you never see anybody around you doing it, so you don't know that you can do this too. And I like taking rather complex topics or ideas and simplifying them and presenting it to the masses, presenting it to the everyday person. I like that. And the fact that I'm feeling like there's a vein for that makes me very happy. It makes me very pleased to see like, okay, there's something here. And not because for like a monetary value, but there's a gap that needs to be filled. And that is where I find motivation most of the time. Because I'm not even gonna say motivation, that's what helps me to keep going, is when I feel like there's a need and I'm meeting it. When I feel like there's a gap and I can stand in for that gap. That's why I went so hard with the fragrance journal. I didn't really go hard, but that's what kept me going with the fragrance journal, is because I felt like there was a need and there was really nobody out there meeting it. And I felt like I created something that met a need. So now we have this potential fragrance event, and I've seen it in action. I've seen it be helpful, and I've seen it work. So now I'm like, okay. Because just the creating a fragrance event in and of itself is not enough for me to continue to keep going. I know, and I'm sure people would love to come, and I know y'all would love to come, but creating an event, as stressful as it is, that's not enough motivation for me to keep going. I'm so sorry. It's not. But finding out that this could be helpful, and that people who are living their everyday lives can learn something that will help them smell good, and they don't feel like they are overwhelmed. They don't feel like because they don't go in Macy's and Sephora that they can't smell good. They're finding something that works for them in their budget, and not only their budget, but their lifestyle and whatever they have going for them. I can present some information to them that would help them make the decisions and learn how to smell good. That is what would keep me going. So that was long, but that was like the push over for me, was like, oh no, this information was helpful for people. And that's what's the difference for me. Now, as far as doing more of these, potentially, here are my drawbacks, hesitations, hiccups. The first thing is venue. Now, the library where I had it at, it was actually, we only really used half of that space. That room, there was another half not another half, but another half. It's a decent sized room. It's convenient to me. It's close to where I live, and it was very inexpensive. Very inexpensive, okay? The problem is, I'm not allowed to charge people to come to that to attend, right? So I can't sell tickets at the door, because if you're using the library, which is public library, you cannot charge people to come. It technically has to be an event that's open to the public. So the workaround for that is y'all would just pay like on the website or something. But the problem is I would have to trust that nobody's going to mention that they already paid for this, right? I'm allowed to have a fragrance event there. I already had one. It's not a secret. Or I'm looking for the fragrance event, whatever. That's not the problem. The problem is everyone has to be on one accord that we cannot mention that it is something that you paid to attend. And trusting that someone wouldn't accidentally spill the beans or whatever, that gives me anxiety. So then you're like, okay, you have to find another venue. Venues are expensive. Deposits and then when we start to get all to the logistics of things, then I get overwhelmed and I'm out. So where I had it at would be the most ideal place, but I would have to trust that every single person that comes, and granted, I think it's maybe like 10 people, which I think is a lot. I think that's plenty. Like, I think that's a good turnout. I would still have to be like beating into people's heads. Please don't say that I paid for a ticket. Please don't say I bought a ticket. You can saying, okay, where's the fragrance event, whatever, is fine. But saying like I paid for it, like you can't do that. So I'm like, either I risk my nerves and still have it at the library and hope that nobody say nothing, or try to find a venue, okay? The other thing is, because I am working from my personal stash, my personal perfumes, it's hard for me to try to keep track of what perfumes I want to bring and making sure I don't use those up. I feel like that takes me back in my progress of like finishing perfumes up and going through perfumes and things like that. Me having to hold on and remembering to hold on to certain perfumes so that I can talk about them and bring them to the event so that y'all can decant. Like, and the logistics kind of overwhelm me. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I held on when I used my vanilla of the extreme as an example, and I used that vanilla pearls, that little bit left from Dawkins. I specifically held on to those because I knew I was doing that event. That vanilla of the extreme that I held on to, that's already gone. As soon as that event was over, within like a day or two, I had wore that, finished that up. Did I finish something else up? Possibly, but like I held on specifically because I wanted to bring to that event. That was one event, an isolated event. I don't know if I possess the power to have a dedicated, the logistics just get funky for me right there, because it's like, okay, I have these perfumes, but I have to hold on to them so that I can use them for the event, so they can decant, so now I can't wear them. Well, which ones? I don't know. That part is a little fuzzy for me. I don't know how that would have to be navigated. I don't know. I'd be wearing my stuff. I'd be wearing my perfume. And I don't know. That part I had just not figured out that yet. The other thing is, I have had to come to realize that I don't like relinquishing control. The thought of, I've had people offer to help. I've had people say, I'll help you, whatever. That don't really, as much as it should make me feel better, it just brings me more anxiety. And I'm like, when I have to explain to you what every perfume is, where it goes, what's in my brain, maybe I do have a few control issues. I don't know. It hasn't been proven, but it might be true. So yeah, I'm just not a person that does well with help. I'm sure there's something there that needs to be unpacked. Not gonna do that right now. But I think I have a little bit of like hyper independence. I know I do. Like, I will be struggling and suffering, and somebody will ask me, do I need help? And I'll say no. Like, so there's that part, but then there's also the, like, if you are a creative person trying to explain your creativity and trying to express it so that somebody gets it. And then also too, I know these perfumes. I know what's supposed to be a dupe for what. I know now I have to teach it to somebody else. I'm out. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that still need to be worked out to potentially like do this again. I sort of have to say I'm open to the possibility, but I don't think it's something that's going to happen right away. There's just a lot of logistics that need to take place for it to happen. And I don't know. Again, the piece that keeps drawing me in is the fact that I feel like it's going to be helpful for people. But all the other logistics behind it made me kind of be like, I just need to take my time. I said out to say, I don't know. I don't know. I could do one in 2 months. I could do one next year. I don't know. But that is just where my head is at as far as the fragrance event. I'm glad it was successful. I'm happy people found it helpful. I'm happy that I had a vision and I executed, not to the way that I wanted, but I still executed. And I've had, more ideas come, and, I see the potential. I see the possibility for growth, but I think it's going to take some time to really flesh it out and figure out what I'm doing. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is, I think I want to make a blog. I think. Only because if you saw in the blog, I was talking about like having some sort of index that people can access, so that they can see my thoughts about certain perfumes or products without having to like find the video and find where I talked about it. I feel like a blog would be the best way to do that. And I also feel like it would help me feel better about when I'm finishing up perfumes, because part of the reason as a content creator that you want to hold on to perfumes is so that you can talk about it, compare it to different things, whatever. You kind of want it as a reference. But then you just end up having a bunch of stuff so it doesn't work. But I'm like, if I had a blog and I had each perfume, especially as I'm finishing up during this Project 50, writing down my thoughts, what I think about the performance, maybe a few of my favorite layering combos, if I've gotten compliments, what I like, what I don't like. If I had in each perfume as I'm finishing it up, whatever, writing my thoughts, and there's a place where y'all can access all of that, I feel like that would be better. And I feel like it would put me at ease too with like finishing things up. Also, too, I try to always update y'all, or say if I know there's a product or a sale happening, I try to always post it in the community tab. Well, the community tab tells y'all when it want to tell y'all. So I'm like, there needs to be a more accessible way to disseminate that information. So I'm like, a blog. But again, that's a learning curve. There's something I have to learn. I have to set up. You have to do a website, because the Shopify page has a section where you can make blog posts, but I don't think that's what I want to do. I think I want like a website that's a blog where I can write a couple paragraphs about a topic if I want to, and then have a section for perfumes and what I think about them, perfume oils, and then I can update y'all if I see a sale. I think I want to do a blog. I think in the next couple of months, I want to do a blog. Now, the question is, how do you make a blog? What website to use? I know there are some free ones. Again, is that something I feel like learning? Do I feel like learning how to set it up? How to make a page? Do I have to pay for another website to use a page? There's a lot of logistics, and do I feel like being bothered with that? But I do feel like, again, it could be helpful. I think I want to make a blog. The other thing that I've been back and forth with is the digital fragrance journal. Again, I see how it can be helpful, right? I've been using it on my iPad in my own personal life. I get it. There's also some other categories that I would think about adding, like where you can put links and where you can put people's discount codes underneath. Do I know how to do any of that? Again, no. So that's another thing to learn. Do I feel like taking the time and energy to learn how to do things, how to add hyperlink? But again, I think it could be helpful. There's a huge learning curve, though. Huge learning curve. The other thing that I would say I'm figuring out, but I'm not, because I've just given up. The fragrance journals. There's some things on the back end that I'm having a hard time with as far as some things getting approved. And I won't go into depth because life. But I might possibly have to revamp the fragrance journal. So with that being said, what might happen is I might just do one more restock of the one that currently exists, or the two that currently exist, and then they would be discontinued. Does that mean fragrance journals forever are discontinued for me? No. But the version, the original fragrance journal and fragrance deluxe might be. Because I'm just getting some pushback on some other things behind the scenes. And it's just very frustrating. And I don't know the proper way to go around it or to figure it out. Or it's just becoming a lot. So it might just have to be discontinued. Which is why I'm like, digital fragrance journal. I would do another physical one because I just am a proponent of writing things down. I just prefer that. But again, do I feel like it? So I wanted to just let y'all know like what I'm thinking about, the things that are currently like in my brain that I'm toying with. Yeah, just like where my head is at, what I'm thinking about. Yeah, so yeah, y'all give me feedback. And I know it's never a matter of support. Like I know y'all always support, but just give me your thoughts, feedback. Is there one you would like to see before the other? Maybe that would give me more push. I'm really dreading learning the new things. So I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't feel like learning how to make another website. I don't feel like learning how to make a digital product. But I also need too much control to trust somebody else to do it. And it's a matter of not just trust, but also, like I said, creativity. How do I express to you what's in my brain? How do I give you my vision? Sometimes I don't even have a vision. I just have a feeling. I can't convey that to you. I can't express that to you. Like it's not possible. So I have to do it because how else am I going to get it out? And then when you also, you have to pay those people. Then I'd be like, why am I paying you to do something that I can figure out how to do? And I'm not a DIY person with anything else, but this stuff, the journal, I'm not paying y'all for that. I can figure that out. So, I don't know. I would love to see all these things happen in the next, by this time next year. I would love to say I have a blog. I would love to say I have a digital journal and fragrance journals. I would love to say I'm doing fragrance events. I would love to be saying all of those things within the next year. But it's only me. And I have to learn it. I just don't know. But y'all talk to me. Y'all let me know. What do you think? Yeah. Just maybe y'all can help me flesh out what's in my brain and how do I feel about everything. But I love y'all. Head over to the other part. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in my I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.